What is up, everybody? Welcome into another rookie mock draft video where, again, we're just going to be pulling an actual viewer's real life roster and draft picks from down in the comments below. So this video is for Rob Downs. Rob, thank you so much for offering up your team and your league and your draft picks for this exercise in this video. So we're going to be drafting as if we were Rob today in the league that he gave us, which is a 12-team, one quarterback league. You start 9 people. It's actually 18 rosters, an additional 6, so 24 total players. He has Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and Davis Mills at quarterback, so a fantastic staple in a one quarterback league. Maybe actually a little bit too much. We might get into that a little bit here though in a sec. Running back, he's got Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, Melvin Gordon, and Khalil Herbert. And then at wide receiver, he's got Michael Gallup, Hunter Renfrow, Kadarius Toney, Gabriel Davis, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Curtis Samuel. And then tight end, he's got David Njoku and Brevin Jordan after just trading away Waller. He notes that he is rebuilding, so it is kind of a little bit of a younger team. Not a lot of firepower on the team, at least right now, but he does have 4 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks and then a couple later-round picks to add some fuel to his team and give him a reinvigoration of some youth and hopefully some firepower and starter power for sure. So let's move over to the draft board and see what we have going on. Again, this is a 12-team, one quarterback league. He has 4 first-round picks, including the beloved 1.01, also has the 105, 106, 110, the 2.04, 2.06, and those 2 later round picks as well in the 3rd and the 4th. So let's get things going here because we have the 1.01 in this draft, and I don't even know if I really need to say much more. Rob, you probably already know. It's probably already been auto drafted for you in your league. This pick is the 1.01 Breece Hall, running back for the New York Jets. There's really no other player that you can even, talk about being there at the 1.01. I think the only other conversation that you could have is because you're kind of rebuilding, it might be worth exploring what you could get for the 1.01. Either maybe multiple picks either this year or next year as well. I would specifically be looking to target maybe you get 2 first-round picks next year and another young player or something good like that. Maybe you get a really high-quality wide receiver or anything like that to actually see if you can move out of the 101 for some really good value to help kickstart your rebuild a little bit more. Otherwise, you're taking Breece Hall. And while I don't necessarily like having running backs throughout a rebuild, that's why I would recommend seeing what you can get in a trade for that 1.01. Breece Hall is without a doubt the best player in this draft and the only player that you need to take at the 101. And as long as he does well for fantasy, you can easily sell him off for other assets to help out your rebuild because you can always be finding running backs, especially rookie running backs, even in next year's class and the year after that, that could help produce for your team when you actually get to that point. It's just solidifying, the tight end position, the wide receiver position. Your quarterbacks are already pretty good with Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. So while you don't necessarily need the running backs right now because you're rebuilding with all the other holes in your roster, Breece Hall is without a doubt the best player available. And I would recommend taking the best player available every single pick in your rookie draft, no matter where you are and what direction you're heading. So now we have 2 picks back-to-back, the 1.05 and the 1.06. These are going to be your wide receivers, and the 110 I would also expect to be a wide receiver as well. So that's really going to help out with your wide receiver depth because as of right now, you're working with Michael Gallup, Hunter Renfrow, and Kadarius Toney as your wide receivers. So an influx of some good rookie talent is really going to help out that wide receiver group as well. And one other thing that I wanted to note is that while I also mentioned that you could trade the 1.01, maybe you get a really high valued wide receiver as well. I would also be looking to explore potentially trading one of your quarterbacks. I would probably keep Deshaun Watson, so maybe see what you can get for Russell Wilson. I know this is a one quarterback league, but you don't need 2 potentially top 10 quarterbacks in one quarterback league because you can only play one of them every single week. And I would just recommend having one of them. See if you can move maybe Russell Wilson for a solid wide receiver 2, a young wide receiver 2, somebody like that, somebody who needs a quarterback. Maybe they're a quarterback away, an elite quarterback away from competing or going for the championship, and that would help both of your teams out as well. So I did want to make that note. But here, 105, 1.06, this one's pretty easy for me. The 1.05, if Kenneth Walker is gone, then I would take the best player out of Drake London, Treylon Burks, and Garrett Wilson. Those are my 3 wide receivers in that order. So Garrett Wilson's here. London and Burks are already gone. So I would take Garrett Wilson here. I know you're doubling up on New York Jets players, but that's all right. Again, best player available. You draft for value and trade for need. So you might not like it now. Just take them. trade it, figure it out later, because we still have like 3 or 4 months until the season starts before you actually need to start setting a lineup. So take best player available. To me, that's Garrett Wilson. Next up on this list is the 1.06. So my wide receiver 4 is actually still Chris Olave, although this would be a probably good opportunity where I could advise also taking Jameson Williams here as well, because Jameson Williams, if he hits, his ceiling is a lot higher than Chris Olave, that's for sure. Even with Olave still having the explosive capability that he does with sub 4.4 speed, he is the wide receiver 2 with Michael Thomas on the New Orleans Saints. That's even let alone to say that Chris Olave can still be a good wide receiver. I know Jameson Williams can profile more as a wide receiver 1. He has the electric speed. He just kind of needs his situation to develop a little bit, and Jared Goff might not necessarily be the quarterback to really unlock that potential. But if both of these players hit, Jameson Williams' hit is going to be a lot higher than Chris Olave's hit, and that's going to be worth a lot more for you in a rebuild. So I would actually maybe recommend taking Jameson Williams here because of the ceiling and the upside that he possesses. You might still want to take Chris Olave. That's totally fine with me as well. Olave is still my wide receiver 4 in this class, but his hit is not necessarily as high as Williams. He's a safer wide receiver, I think, because he can give you a wide receiver 21 type season, I think, for a very long time. But I don't think he's got the top 10, top 5 overall upside that Jameson Williams has. So we're up again at the 110 here. And again, this is going to be another wide receiver. I can't really recommend taking a running back at this position, or really even any other position other than wide receiver at this point in the draft in this class. So really, it's just going to be the best wide receiver available at this point. The way that the board fell for this specific mock draft, we have a choice, and this is probably a choice that you're going to have to make as well, between Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, and George Pickens. And I would even include Sky Moore there as well, because he has a possibility to be there at the 110. I know Isaiah Spiller going at the 109 is a little high. I've still seen it happen, but that might not necessarily be the case. So you're probably choosing between a couple of these 4 wide receivers at this point in the draft. Jahan Dotson is going to be my highest ranked wide receiver of the players available. I have Sky Moore ranked ahead of Jahan Dotson. So if Sky Moore is there, he would absolutely be my choice. If Sky Moore is gone and you're choosing between Pickens, Watson, Dotson, my rankings go Jahan Dotson, Pickens, and then Christian Watson. However, again, this is kind of the same argument that with your team and the way that you can kind of structure it, the biggest ceiling out of all of these wide receivers is Christian Watson with the Green Bay Packers in the immediate short term, with him potentially being the wide receiver 1 for the Green Bay Packers. I don't really see that. I view him as a landmine based on his profile, as kind of a bust. I think he could be fine. I'm just not certain that he's going to be the player that everybody already assumes that he kind of is, even with Aaron Rodgers. So if you want to go the route of Christian Watson, I definitely understand that and going for pure upside. However, that was also the same reasoning that we used to take Jameson Williams. And so I don't necessarily like having both players just on pure upside, as I view both of them as risky prospects as well. So I think we need a little bit more safety here. And I would probably go the route of Jahan Dotson here, even as the wide receiver 2 for the Washington Commanders. But his upside and the ceiling for him is that the Commanders don't re-sign Terry McLaurin. McLaurin is currently a free agent at the end of the year with his rookie deal expiring. So it's very possible that either Washington doesn't want to pay him, or McLaurin doesn't even want to be there. He might not want to continue being with the team, where even though he's been a solid wide receiver, he might want to go and be with a better team, with a better quarterback, and have a better opportunity to not only win, but also just kind of get the ball more, kind of like what Hollywood Brown did with the Baltimore Ravens, moving to the Arizona Cardinals. So while if I had to place money on it, I would still bet that he is a Commander next year and does sign an extension as well. But I still think that there's a solid possibility that Jahan Dotson is the wide receiver 1 for Washington moving forward, thus giving me a little bit more of a safety net with him, not only as the wide receiver 2 for Washington with Terry McLaurin, as hopefully that offense also kind of gets better and that situation gets better as well. I trust the first round draft capital. So overall, I view Jahan Dotson as a safer prospect than Christian Watson or George Pickens. I trust the first round draft capital. I trust the production that I saw from him, even though it was later in his career and he is a 4-year player. I still trust the production and what he can do, kind of as a Terry McLaurin clone, even as the wide receiver 2 on the team in that situation. And I hope that the situation gets better as I do for kind of a lot of these other wide receivers that are available. So I would actually still take Jahan Dotson here with the upside that he presents, even though it might not be as high as Christian Watson. I think his floor and his safety is a lot better than Watson. So I would take Jahan Dotson here. So we're up now at the 2.04, and then we also have the 2.06. And there's two players in this mid-second round that I would be targeting, looking at your roster and kind of how this second round could go, because it's basically completely a grab your guy, just kind of throw ADP out your window, get whoever you want, and there really isn't anything kind of structurally going on here in the second round. Just grab your guy, and that's that. So the two players that I would be looking to target if I were you, Rob, would be Trey McBride, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals, and then Wan'Dale Robinson. I think those two players are fantastic targets in the second round with your team in terms of where they are in terms of the ADP and value that you're currently getting out of them. So you can pick and choose and maybe try to read how your draft board is kind of going, or you know your league a little bit better than I in terms of which one of those players to pick first at the 2.04, and then the 2.05 doesn't take the other one, then you get the other guy at 2.06. The way that this draft board is going, I'm just going to take Trey McBride now. Hope that he doesn't take Wan'Dale Robinson, which he didn't, and I would take Wan'Dale Robinson here. I've seen Wan'Dale in the third round. I've seen him in the late second as well, but I'm totally comfortable taking him in the mid-second at the 2.06. I like him a lot more than all the other kind of round two or day two wide receivers like Pierce or Mechie. Basically, I like him a lot more than a lot of the running backs that are probably going to be available for you here, like Rachaad White, or we get into like day two picks, late day two picks, day three picks like Zamir White, Brian Robinson, Tyler Algier. I'm not looking at Kenny Pickett in one quarterback leagues, especially with the quarterbacks that you have. So I'm taking Trey McBride and I'm taking Wan'Dale Robinson as my 2 second-round picks here for you. So now we're at the 3.04. You already know this has been my advice like every single time, but if Keaontay Ingram is there, I'm taking Keaontay Ingram. He's basically become like my auto third-round pick unless Tyler Algier is there. The way that I would rank them would be Algier, Keaontay Ingram, and then Tyrion Davis-Price. Those are the three guys that I'm looking at that 3.04. I'm grabbing whichever one is there. If all three of them are there, I'm going Algier, Ingram, and then TDP. That would be my ranking. So basically any one of those three guys there at the 3.04 is money for you right there at that pick. So I got Keaontay Ingram. Absolutely love it. And then we're up again at the 4.08. And this is basically just going to be a huge dart throw at this point. I mean, there's a multitude of guys that you can take here. There's a lot of guys that the wide receiver position, like Khalil Shakir, Romeo Doubs, depending on how your league feels about either one of them. They're already gone off the board here. There's some running backs that you can go with, guys like Jerome Ford or Kevin Harris or Snoop Connor. You know, there's also the undrafted free agent in Kennedy Brooks as well for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just a lot of different options that you can take with this late fourth round. Again, I'm not really looking at the quarterback position. The tight ends that I would be interested in here, and Jelani Woods and Greg Dulcich are already gone. They could be on the short list for you though, as well, if you don't, especially if you don't get McBride. But I think just here, I'm taking Jerome Ford. Again, like every single time I say this, is basically like, I just really like Jerome Ford. I think that he is a good player. I don't like the situation, but hopefully things kind of work out for Jerome Ford and work his way, and the ball rolls a certain direction to where Jerome Ford can get meaningful snaps, if not this year, then hopefully next year as well. That's at least the way that I would be looking at things if I was you. Obviously, Breece Hall is your 1.01, taking the best wide receiver available out of London, Burks, or Garrett Wilson at the 1.05. 1.06, we said about taking Jameson Williams just for the straight upside of it and the ceiling that he has, because if he does hit, he's going to have a monstrous ceiling. At the 110, I took Jahan Dotson just because I think that he is a safer prospect and we're not reaching for the stars as much for Christian Watson like we kind of are with Jameson Williams. I don't really want two of those same types of players. 2.04, we have Trey McBride. 2.06, Wan'Dale Robinson. 3.04, my guy Keaontay Ingram. And then the dart throw in the fourth round of Jerome Ford here, but that could be whoever you want in the fourth round if you're really attached to somebody. So, Rob, thank you so much for offering up your team and your draft picks for this exercise. To everybody else out there, I hope that this was helpful to you guys to get an inside look into kind of my process and my thinking as I'm making these picks using an actual person's roster, league, draft picks, all that kind of stuff. If you're interested in potentially seeing your team and your draft picks in a video like this, leave a comment down below with all of the information of how many people are in your league, what type of league is it, if it's one quarterback or super flex, your roster, your draft picks, and then when your rookie draft is, so I can give you advice beforehand so it's actually meaningful for you in either a video form, or if I don't do a video, I will respond to you in the comments giving you my advice for what I would do with your picks. So finally, be sure to like this video, leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with me on any of the picks that I made or any of the processes that I was kind of going through. And lastly, hit that subscribe button if you want more awesome videos from the DLF YouTube channel. And with that all being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch y'all later.